Today I tried to implement a simple brand selector in my SaaS frontend. It should have been straightforward, just a combo box inside a dialog. Instead, it turned out to be a shadcn view portal and a portal rendering issue, a subtle form submission bug that broke my keyboard interactions completely, and some architectural mistakes from the AI that I had to clean up afterwards. By the end of it, the UI works. More importantly, the data flow makes sense, the fetch logic is structured properly, and the loading and error states are handled correctly. Let me walk you through what broke, why it broke, and what mattered while fixing it. Okay, I was banging my head against the wall for over an hour right now, which is crazy for something as simple what I'm trying to do. We have here our button that actually now works, but it has one problem. It is a combo box which is rendered inside a dialog. shadcn view doesn't like that we are rendering a popover inside a popover because it's using portals. We had to use some hacky solution which sets portaled to false, but we are actually changing the UI component because nice thing that is in shadcn view, the components are installed in the project, so I can change the components. Hacky because we actually don't want it. If I would update the component later, then my hack is gone and it again wouldn't work. So we added this one. Our portaled true and portaled is passed down together with the props. I have now removed it just to showcase what happens. If we are here right now and we press inside here, now it shows, but it also destroys everything and shows stuff at the bottom. It is completely funky. This was the fix. It was very hacky, but it works. And the problem is generally known and there is no definitive solution to it. So I had to do hacky stuff like that or rebuild the whole combo box component by hand, which I didn't want to do. The problem is if I select something like this one with enter and then go to the next field, for whatever reason, it doesn't select. It just selects. If I select it with a mouse, then I go further, then it selects. When I go with enter and tap, then it doesn't select. Let's hunt for a solution. We will find that out. This combo box, which I thought would be very easy, wasn't so easy after all. The submit didn't have a prevent. That's why when I was entering on the field, it did submit the form and actually did not select the brand that I was trying to select. So now we can move with our arrows, select and tap to the next field and everything works. And if we press save, it does give us what we wanted. Yeah, that's not wired up, so we have only a console log, but it works now. As for the persona form, I'm not quite sure how I want to do it because the persona will be quite a big form. I think I'm going to go for the full page form because the persona will behave a little bit differently. We will have a button which will auto-generate us the persona later with the help of AI. Okay, this is a nice use case for the AIs. My problem is that I would have to build a very big form from scratch. And now I don't have to exactly do that because I already have the type, I already have the table, which is the personas table, and this persona form I have already implemented in another app, which is my Inertia app for building prompts. Meaning I could just provide an image to the AI and tell it to implement this thing exactly as I want. And now we will see if it did a good job or not. The form in persona is a separate page and it looks like this. Because it's way bigger, you have way more information. I will treat it more as an editor than a form actually. That's why here will be a button with a workflow in the background which adds the data automatically, but that's a problem for another day. For now we wanted just a form. That is exactly what I actually wanted. I have to just review the code and see if it did break something or did something strange. Just reviewed the form that was generated and it was generated on point. I didn't find even one error, to be honest. Everything is done as I would have done it myself. Yeah, I have to think about this watcher stuff. This one I have to still test a little bit if this really works the way it is intended to work. I actually don't like this. If we press one, we have still the old data in the form. If we go back and press here, we have still the empty data and the new data comes in after a second. The expected behavior is either ways. If I go in here, then I want to have the data from this. There should be a loading indicator or something like that. And the data should be always resetted when we go out. So yeah, let's fix it. Good that I actually reviewed it a little bit closer. What it actually does in here is it fetches all the personas, everything, and then it filters this one persona that we need. I know this is mock data, but still, to come up with the idea to fetch everything, so to fetch the whole database, all the personas, although we just need one, it would be way easier to implement a new function and use personas, which would say fetch by ID or something like that, and then do this in here. Then it will be also later easier to change because I will have all the fetch data in one function. That's why it is very, very important to first of all understand the code, and second of all to very deeply review what the AI does. The first part is done. We have now everything in fetchById function, which does actually more or less the same thing. We are now right now also returning a single persona, which is a persona or undefined because this might not find anything. What is missing is the case that if we cannot find the AD in the database, because when I leave it like this and there is the ID, for example, 111, then it will just stay empty, everything, so it will not fill out the form. So we need two things. We need error handling. If the ID doesn't exist, we need to show an error. And we need a loading indicator so the user knows that something is happening, because now still we have this problem that if we click here, then sometimes it takes a little bit longer because the data is a promise from the database, so we don't actually know when it resolves. So we need to handle this as well. Now the form just pops up, and on edit we have a spinner, because here nothing loads, so we don't need a spinner. Here it loads, so we need a spinner. Great. We have done the error handling. If we have a ID that doesn't exist, we will be redirected to page not found with a 404. Very simple 404 page. I might later work on it, but this is not important for now. Small little side quest. We have everywhere now normal loading indicators. The height is a little bit messed up. I have to fix it, but we have loading indicators instead of this loading text which was here. This is the same loading indicator we have here, so we are reusing stuff. That's it for today. The forms work, the loading states are more or less clean, and the structure is finally where it should be. Next, I'll build the view pages properly, wire up some data relations between the brands, products, and personas, and start implementing the TipTap editor. This is where it stops being just a simple CRUD app and starts being a real useful application. I'll see you in the next one.